This is Paul Fromm from the Canadian Association for Free Expression here in Quesnel, British Columbia, on the second last day of autumn at the courthouse here in Quesnel at the so-called hate speech trial of Arthur Topham under Section 319 of the Canadian Criminal Code, the notorious hate law. Well, today we had an interesting witness. He was the so-called expert witness for the prosecution. His name was Len Rudner. He was a long-time official with the old Canadian Jewish Congress now, and then until very recently the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. In other words, a Jewish lobby group, and he established, among other things, that they do lobby for the state of Israel. So basically, a foreign lobby. Rudner actually was qualified as an expert witness, but he doesn't really seem to be an expert in much. He said he was an Orthodox Jew, but he's not really a scholar of the Torah or the Talmud. He knows he's not trained as a historian. He claims he knows a lot about anti-Semitism, but he's certainly not objective. He's a player. He went through a lot of the material that had been on Arthur Topham's site and said that this was anti-Semitic, this was anti-Semitic, and so on. Very interesting area were references to the Talmud and passages in there that seemed to clearly authorize or approve of sex with children, little girls as young as 3, boys up to the age of 9, sex between a mother and her son, incest, bestiality, and so on. Now, his position, of course, he admits he's not an expert, was that, well, these are discussions, the learned rabbis kick ideas back and forth, there's a lot of hypotheticals, well, I was left rather mystified. Now, he claims that Judaism does not approve of incest and molesting children and so on. I think a lot of us are still left with the question, though, well, why would passages like that be in a religious text? Anyway, there'll be lots more about that, I'm sure, on Monday. Some very interesting little nuggets along the way. He talked about the use of the Holocaust in literature, including fiction, and he admitted what a lot of us have long known, that Schindler's List was not history. Schindler's List was a novel by an Australian writer. It was fiction. Now, it may have had something to do with World War II, but it was not history. Kind of an interesting point. Another thing he said, just rather out of the blue about his qualifications, is that when he worked for the Canadian Jewish Congress, he helped draft 4 complaints under the old notorious Section 13, that was Internet censorship of the Canadian Human Rights Act. Now, a few of us who've been through a lot of those battles were inwardly scouring our minds to find out, well, what were those? Anyway, we'll be probably pursuing that through our attorney, Barclay Johnson, on Monday. But something that kind of niggled in my mind is this guy is supposed to be an expert. Now, an expert's supposed to be objective. In other words, he's not supposed to have a horse in the race, so to speak. Well, he clearly has spent a good deal of his adult life since he left being in human relations in the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce some 20 years ago. He clearly has been an activist. And there's nothing wrong with being an activist, but can he provide objective testimony? He has actually admitted that he was part of a team that tried to get people prosecuted, and let's be quite clear, to get their right to free speech taken away. He also spent a lot of time debunking the idea that there's anything like a Jewish conspiracy. There's no such thing as world Jewry. In other words, Jews around the world don't act together, don't seem to have common interests. It's hard for me to know how that goes down with a jury, but anyway, I think we're going to be looking for a lot of fireworks come Monday. Well, this is Paul Fromm here in Quesnel, British Columbia, at the Arthur Topham free speech trial. I'm with the Canadian Association for Free Expression, and I'll be reporting to the game on Monday.